We got two more series now. We're going to talk about the LA teams. Let's start off with the Clippers first, because I think that people watch the podcast and they think that this is a Lakers centric type of podcast. You just happen to have a couple of guys that roll with the Lakers, but we'll start off with the Clippers and the Nuggets. Interesting series, guys. I didn't see it being that competitive this early. I see a Nuggets team that's on the cusp of doing something over the next few years, but they're not quite ready to knock down this tough Clippers team after last night's victory on it. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what we think the Clippers, how they're going to dismantle this team, and just to think about the Nuggets, man. Do we see the Nuggets winning a few more games in this series, or is this all but over? Let's start with you, Thomas.
Well, I think that I don't know. I think they can win one more game. The Clippers kind of been underachieving to me. I think that they have a defensive-minded coach like Doc and two of the greatest defensive players that's in the game today, and Pat Bev and the guy with the long ass middle. Those guys right there, you would think that the rest of the team would jump onto that bandwagon, but it seems like the Lou Wills and the Paul Georges and the Jacksons and guys just only care about. I think they're gonna really mess this up this year.
Wow. You don't like
They
that
are
chemistry?
really like the Mavs. I don't like it. I mean, they're supposed to be. I feel like the Lakers are a better defensive team than they are, and we're older. Like we got a bunch of has-beens on our team. Well, these guys got guys that's in their prime, and they should be like kicking ass. And no one is. It's like if I would like to be a fly. I would like to be a fly in the room with Kawhi Leonard. Like I just don't. Is he not the leader that he needs to be? Like I couldn't imagine the Lakers with Kobe Bryant not being a defensive team, or the Bulls with Michael Jordan not being a defensive team. You know, with them being vocal. I just don't think he's vocal enough, and it shows with these Mavs games and these Nuggets games. No disrespect to those teams, because those teams are really good with really good players, but I honestly, on paper, there should be sweeps. It should be sweeps, man. Like you got the best record. I mean, the best roster in the NBA, right? And it's like every game you're like fighting. You're fighting with these guys that you shouldn't be fighting with.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I could see if it was the Rockets and you had a wild card like an Eric Gordon that you don't account for, who's scoring 24 on you. But like, it's Luka Doncic and Murray that's busting your ass. Like, I don't know. Something's going on, and I think it may be Doc and the guy just not gelling. But I can see Denver getting another win. Yeah, for sure. I can see it going 7-ish. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to throw it to you, Swift, but before I do that, I will say that their chemistry is a little bit off, and you got to think about it. They didn't get a lot of chances to play together as the season went the way that it went, and some things are different. But they have a lot of guys on that team that are kind of out there. And when I say out there, you know what I mean. Like Patrick Beverley, he's kind of out there. You know, he's got a big personality for a little guy. Marcus Morris slapped the hell out of Luka Doncic. Montrezl Harrell's constantly talking, calling Luka white boy and all that. So, you know, you got some guys on that team. It seems like they got that dog in them, but sometimes their personality seems like it's a lot of that dog in them, but they just kind of off. And then when you say Kawhi, he's not the guy like you said that's gonna be Kobe Bryant that's gonna get in their face and be like, "Hey man, you need to cut that out, Marcus. You need to stop doing all this crap, Patrick." And with that, you know, just like when the teacher is like in the classroom, you got a strong teacher, but they lead by example. They let the guys get away with a little bit, but they'll say something when they have to. That's how I look at Kawhi. He's not going to say something unless he absolutely has to. But the thing about the Clippers, when it's time to turn it on, they proven, like last night, when the game was kind of in the balance, when it was time, when Doc called the timeout and it was time to, hey guys, let's get together. They got it together. But to your point, Thomas, it's going to come a time when you play the Lakers, when you play whoever come out the East or whoever it is, and you're not going to be able to just to flip that switch. But Tim, I digress. What's your thoughts on it, Tim?
Their lineups are so odd. Doc Rivers, and you mentioned it, Carlos, they're still trying to figure out here in the middle of the playoffs, their 5 best guys. I mean, do they go big with Zubac at center? Do they go small with Trez Harrell? They're still trying to figure that out. And I'd rather not be, if I'm a number 1, number 2 seed, trying to figure out my rotations in the middle of the playoffs. That being said, they got a lot of guys who just want to score. Reggie Jackson just wants to score. Trez Harrell just wants to score. We know about Lemon Pepper Lou. All he wants to do is score. All they got is a bunch of guys that just want to score. And at some point, you're going to have some of those guys on the floor in the fourth quarter of games. That's what they're going to have to do. Play deep, not just score and get buckets. It can't just be Kawhi guarding whoever. And you saw it the other night when Kawhi was he was tired of Jamal Murray burning everybody. And Kawhi has to go get on Jamal Murray. You'd rather not have to have that matchup. You'd rather have Kawhi guard somebody else and get his offense and worry about that. So the fact that they're worrying about their rotation right now would bother me if I'm a Clippers fan. I'm not. But I think it could come into play in this next series if they play the Lakers. I really do.
Good points, y'all. I think we hit it on the nose with the Clippers. I think, to your point, Tim, I don't know many Clippers fans. Most of them are defective Lakers haters, people that used to go for the Golden State Warriors. We know that. But if you are a Clippers fan, I think you should be concerned a little bit. I think that, as you said, Thomas, they should be better than this. And even if you're not sweeping teams, like it should be some convincing victories where you're like, oh shit, I know the Clippers are ready for the show that I know they're ready to come out the West or whatever. And I still don't have that feeling. So that gives me hope as a Lakers fan to say, hey, they might have a chance against them, because I'm kind of with you, Thomas. I do think the Clippers are the better roster top to bottom, but I think that chemistry issue and what you said, Swift, about having a lot of scores, guys that don't really care to play defense, it's going to come to a head at one point, and I think that's going to be in the next series. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out if the Lakers get there. Even if it's the Rockets, whatever happens, it's going to be fascinating to see that next series, how the Clippers finally try to gel and bring it together. Speaking of the Lakers, let's jump into I think, part of the most intriguing series. And again, not even from a Lakers fan standpoint, because I think a lot of people thought Lakers would come out and dominate the micro ball team, the 6'8" guys and under. Rockets have shown up, man. They're playing defense. They're scrappy. Even without Westbrook having, some of the best games. I thought that the Lakers were going to sweep. I did. And again, I don't know if that's my fan head on, that's my Lakers head on, but I always thought that the Lakers would just dominate them inside, and it wouldn't have got to this point. So, with that being said, the game's coming on tonight. I know we're all going to be watching. What are Tim Swift? Let's start off with you. What are your expectations for the rest of this season? Do you really, honestly think the Rockets can pull this one off?
This series, and I know I am speaking to respected Lakers fans here now, so I'm not one of those, but I know I'm speaking to respected Lakers fans. I think the Rockets are going to take this series deeper than the Lakers thought that this series was going. I think it's going 6 or 7. If for anything else, the Rockets will shoot themselves into a game by getting hot. If you remember that third quarter the other night, where they pretty much just shot themselves into a game, and they're going to have a game or two in this series where they completely shoot themselves out of the game. The bottom line is this: LeBron and AD need to spend as much time in the paint as possible. And I know PJ Tucker's strong. He's a bull down there. But you have to find a way between the two of them in that two-man high-low game as far as what you can do inside to continue to dominate. Houston will shoot themselves out of some games, but in it. The Lakers are still winning this series, but I think it's going a little deeper, maybe 6 or 7.
Jump in there, Sean. Before we get to me and Thomas as the Laker fan, guys, what do you see in this series and how it's played out so far?
I think last night going to show you how the rest of this series is going to be played. They're going to pound that ball in on them, and you can see how efficient the rest of the Lakers players are when they do that. I don't think it's going 06. I don't think it's going 07. Gentlemen's sweep. 4-1.
Wow.
I'm just being honest. I think that's what's going to happen.
I respect that because Sean can't stand the Lakers. And if he's giving us any credit or anything, he really believes that because there's nowhere in hell he would just sit up there and say that. So great points. I think real quick before I get to you, Thomas, I think Rondo was an aberration last game. I mean, to see Rondo step in place and play as well as he did, that gave me a lot of hope, going into the rest of this series, because if Rondo can and be half as good as he was last game, just give me a little disruption, give me one little wrinkle to worry about. You've been really hard on Rondo, but he played great last game, and to see that it lightened me, I was like, okay, because I was hard on Rondo too. I was hard on him too, Sean. I was like, what the hell is Rondo gonna give us? The only thing he give us is maybe some experienced defensive guy at the top of the key, but he gave us points, he gave us leadership at certain times, and he's gonna be pivotal moving forward for them to get out this series and move on even forward. So let's swing it around the horn. Thomas, I know that you are hard on LeBron and AD. What are you seeing out of these two guys? What do you see for this series going forward?
I'm just the opposite of Sean, man. I think it's going 7 games. As long as Eric Gordon is on the court, we can't double team James Harden, and that's the way this game is played. You got to double team. We sweep them if Eric Gordon doesn't play. Now I know that you guys don't believe in these players that's not all-star. Well, not you guys, but I know guys don't believe it. They don't make an all-star team. They don't exist. If they don't six-man, and if no one talks about them, they don't exist. But all Eric Gordon has done these last 2 games is put up 24 points in each one of them. So, he just takes away the double team. And that's special for a guy like James Harden, because it just says that, okay, when you double, I don't have to kick it to Westbrook. I'm gonna kick it to Eric Gordon. And some days you'd rather for me to shoot than him, which is when they had Chris Paul, which is what made them so unbeatable. Now we know that Chris Paul got hurt both years and they got beat, but that's what made those guys special was Eric Gordon. And I just think as long as he's on the court, man, I think that this is just going to go 7 games because you cannot, when the last 7 minutes of a game, you can't count for that. That ball's going to get kicked to him and he's going to knock it down. And then he plays great defense as well. The guy just, they have a good team and they went undersized because they knew that they could beat the Clippers and the Lakers with it. They just know that they have to hit shots. So if they're hitting shots, they can beat the Lakers and the Clippers. So I think it's going to go 7.
What's
the count in this series?
It's
1-1.
Yeah.
Okay. Tied up 1. Now, one thing that I seen though that kind of threw me off here, James Harden was talking a lot of cash. Him and D'Antoni. D'Antoni was saying, well, they had to make the adjustments to us, and Harden is out here saying that our confidence has skyrocketed. And I don't think that bodes well for a team like that. Like, you can't get that far ahead of yourself and think that you took the Lakers' best punch. And now that all the teams have made the necessary adjustments, now we're just going to play ball. It's one thing if you won a championship or two, you got something to back that up with, but I was out here talking like they the defending world champions. We got this, we good. So when I seen that and I heard that, I said, oh, no. I don't think that that's going to go well over in that Lakers locker room. You giving them more and more motivation to come out there and really play you guys as tough as they can. So I'm all with it. Now, one thing that does concern me is that AD, Anthony Davis, his hot and cold streaks. I mean, one game he's a world beater. The next game, he's good, but he's not that. AD has to stay hot, and they have to pound the offensive glass. If the Rockets are going to outscore you by threes, making 33s to 15 or whatever the number is, you have to pound the offensive glass. And like you said, I think it was you, Swifty. I don't give a damn if PJ Tucker's 6'8", he's scrappy and all this. I've seen him get too many rebounds in the middle of 2 or 3 Lakers players. So I know the Lakers got another gear. I don't know why they haven't taken it there, but it's been too many damn times that PJ Tucker coming away with the ball, and I don't understand that. I don't know what dynamic it is in the Lakers that make them turn it on in certain quarters, not others. You know, like what the hell? PJ 6'8", little bit of self is out there killing guys on the board. So they have to reach that level of intensity. If they do that, I think it goes about 5 or 6. I'll be honest with you guys, and it's gonna come on tonight. So we're gonna get a great.
I didn't even know he was.
Well, they list him at 6'8". You might be right. He might be.
No, he's not. He's 6'6".
6'6", right?
He's 6'6".
Yeah, he's
Okay.
6'6". He ain't 6'8".
I just remember them saying he's 6'8". Maybe they just list him that way. You know how they do. They give you a couple of inches because you put your shoes on. At the time you go get your height. I don't know, but I know damn well whatever height he is, he should be in there battling with Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis for rebounds and getting them. I'm like, the hell is going on? Lakers did make that adjustment though. Less JaVale McGee, less Dwight Howard.
Laker fan ain't got nothing to worry about, bro. It's over with.
Yeah, I mean, but it's good that you always have a test though. I think that you should have a test in the semifinals because you know the bigger fish are coming down the line. So if you're not getting tested in that semifinal round, that's a bit of a concern. But I think the Lakers will be fine as well. So good stuff, guys. Good.